Hi, this time we will explain the storyline of a film called The Mummy, which was released back in 2017.
It is definitely a tomb.
The Mummy tells the story of a female mummy named Ahmanet who came back to life. She was the heir to the throne of the ancient Egyptian kingdom, but unexpectedly Pharaoh suddenly had a son so that he would be the heir to the throne. As a result, the jealous Ahmanet made a pact with the god of death and killed the pharaoh. Alright, so here's the storyline.
Of life over death.
The beginning of this film shows the news of the discovery of an ancient tomb site of the Crusaders in London, but in one of the tombs there was a dagger. The scene moves along by showing a beautiful woman named Ahmanet. Ahmanet was the princess of the ancient Egyptian kingdom who was predicted to inherit the throne of the pharaohs. She had a beautiful face, was agile but also cunning. The Egyptians considered her as a living goddess. However, unexpectedly Pharaoh's wife gave birth to a son, which that boy would inherit the kingdom. Princess Ahmanet's anger made her to do a pact with the god of death named Set. When the ritual was performed, a sinister figure gave her a dagger with a red crystal in the hilt. This dagger would be used by Princess Ahmanet to kill the pharaoh and his descendants.
A monster.
It turned out that it didn't stop there. Princess Ahmanet also promised to bring the god of death back to life in a man's body. When the second ritual started, she was caught and punished. She was then mummified alive and kept away from Egypt. The scene moved to the showing of two United States colonels who ran away from duty because of the hunt for the treasure. They were Nick and Vale. The treasure they called the Haram was in a place that had been controlled by the rebels in Mesopotamia, Iraq. As they entered the area, they were fired upon by the rebels. Luckily, some other American troops arrived at the right time, so they were safe. When they were about to come down from a building, suddenly the building collapsed and formed a giant hole. In the hole they found there were many buried ancient inscriptions and tombs. Not long after, their superior named Gideon Forster came to scold them for running away from duty and instead tried to hunt for a treasure. At the same time, a woman named Jenny came to scold at the two for stealing her treasure map. Long story short, Jenny and the others immediately went down to check the ancient tomb. At first they were very amazed to see the ancient tomb, but unexpectedly they saw drops of mercury. Jenny, who was an archaeologist, said that mercury can withstand and weaken evil forces. When they followed the mercury flow, they found a pool that had been filled with mercury with several graves around it. Jenny realized that this was not a grave but a prison. This opportunity was used by Nick and Vale to retrieve the valuable objects they found in the tomb. Not long after, Nick shot the pulley hanging around the pool. A tomb or sarcophagus that had been under the pool was pulled to the surface. At the same time, they were attacked by thousands of spiders. Because they were panicking, Vale shot everything around him. Nick tried to calm his friend. After the atmosphere calmed down, Nick looked at the sarcophagus and it was as if he was in the middle of the desert with a beautiful woman who was none other than Ahmanet. Ahmanet said that he was the chosen one. Seeing Nick daydreaming, Jenny finally woke him up. After that, they returned to the top and transported the sarcophagus. Then they returned to America using military aircraft. While on the plane, Vale looked strange. At first they thought that this was the effect of the spider attack earlier, but unexpectedly Vale instead attacked them and killed the commander. Seeing Vale, who was very strange and almost endangered them all, Nick shot him dead. It didn't stop there. Thousands of crows appeared to attack them, causing the plane to crash and almost fall. With great difficulty, Nick immediately put a parachute on Jenny and Jenny was able to escape from the plane. Nick thought there was another parachute, but it turned out to be the only parachute left. Nick finally fell with the plane and was declared dead. While in the morgue, Nick unexpectedly came back to life and suddenly Vale reappeared beside him. At the same time, the officers who asked Jenny to come with them to identify the body of Nick were surprised to see Nick, who had woken up naked.
What's happening? Where am I?
Turning to the next scene, several officers were deployed to examine the crashed plane. One of them found the sarcophagus and opened it. Ahmanet's mummy got up again and sucked the policeman's body until it dried and he died.
Alan?
Hearing his partner scream, another policeman came to check, but he experienced the same thing as his colleague. Not long after that, Ahmanet raised the others and it was seen that there were two creatures that looked like zombies there. Meanwhile, Jenny, who was surprised, finally asked Nick how he could have survived, but Nick also did not understand. At that time, Jenny said she actually went there to look for the tomb of an ancient Egyptian princess whose name was erased in history. She was looking for a dagger with a red gem. This dagger was believed to awaken the god of death called Set. This is when he connected with the discovery of the ancient tombs in London. She was very sure that the sarcophagus they found was Ahmanet.
To give Set physical form.
At that time he saw Vale appear and asked him to talk. Nick finally met Vale in the women's toilet. He was a little angry that Nick killed him, but Nick tried to defend himself and said that he did this because he panicked. Long story short, Vale also said that they had been cursed by Ahmanet because of their actions. Ahmanet had a plan for Nick and asked him to be careful. Therefore she said that Nick was the chosen one.
No, it's not.
While outside, Nick felt as if a strange creature was directing thousands of rats to attack him, but suddenly Jenny woke Nick and Nick woke up and nothing happened. After that, suddenly Nick took Jenny to a church where the plane crashed. Of course Jenny was very confused by this behavior of Nick. In the church they split up to look for something, and at that moment in the darkness Nick saw the figure of Ahmanet. Here we know that Ahmanet herself had led him to come to the church. Not long after that, some of Ahmanet's creatures came to catch him and laid him on the table. Ahmanet then said that she would use Nick's body to resurrect the god of death. When Ahmanet wanted to do this, she unexpectedly saw that the gem was missing, and Jenny was behind them. They released Nick and chased Jenny. Then Nick and Jenny tried to escape from the place, but this effort was in vain. Ahmanet could find them easily. Zombies from Ahmanet could easily attack them, causing the car they were driving to fall into the abyss. When Ahmanet wanted to attack them again, a group of people unexpectedly appeared and attacked Ahmanet. She was tied with ropes from all directions and then sedated. At the same time a man came to bring Nick. It turned out they took Nick to a place filled with strange items.
What's happening?
Arriving there, a man named Dr. Henry Jekyll appeared. Dr. Jekyll was the owner of these items. He was a neurosurgeon, scientist and lawyer. He admitted that he had a strange disease. When the disease recurred his body would react and change, but he immediately injected the drug and he returned to normal.
The disease manifested itself in subtle ways, Phil.
After that he took Nick to a room where there was already Ahmanet, who had been locked up and injected with mercury. At the same time, Dr. Jekyll introduced Jenny, who had been working with him. Dr. Jekyll had been eyeing Ahmanet for a long time and wanted to perform surgery on her. Hearing this, Jenny was a little surprised because she didn't think Dr. Jekyll would be like that.
And we are the only ones who can rectify that.
Dr. Jekyll also said that he could heal Nick, but suddenly Ahmanet spoke and said no one was able to remove the curse because Nick was the one chosen to resurrect the god of death Set. Some referred to him as Lucifer. Nick being sacrificed did not mean that he would lose his life, but he would become eternal and become a god. There would be many people who were submissive and obedient to Nick. As if regretting his actions, Nick and Jenny talked while looking at Ahmanet. He asked why Nick wanted to help her by giving up the parachute while on the plane, but without hesitation Nick replied that he thought there was another parachute. Although Nick was known as an evil officer, thief and had other bad traits, Jenny said that in Nick there was still goodness. At that time another news emerged. Dr. Jekyll found the red gem. Hearing this, Dr. Jekyll finally said his goal was that he wanted to do research on Nick. He would use the dagger on Nick to resurrect Set and then kill him. Knowing this, Nick was angry. At the same time Dr. Jekyll relapsed. He asked Nick to run away immediately and leave the place, but unfortunately Nick was late and locked up with Dr. Jekyll, who had become a monster in the room. At the same time, Ahmanet took control of a spider and entered the ear of a man on duty. With the spider she managed to influence this man so that she was free. At the same time, Dr. Jekyll continued to attack Nick and wanted to make him the god of death. Nick accidentally stabbed the drug at Dr. Jekyll, and a few seconds later the doctor returned just as before. After being freed from there, Jenny said that there was only one way to free them from all this, which was to destroy the red gem and Ahmanet's dagger. Ahmanet, who was angry, then made a sandstorm that disrupted the whole city. After that Nick was still trying to save himself from the sandstorm, but unexpectedly on the way he met Vale. Vale said he knew where the gem was.
My work here is done.
At the same time Ahmanet managed to resurrect the corpses of his bodyguards. After that, Ahmanet finally managed to put a red gemstone on her dagger. In another place, Jenny, who was now with Nick, was attacked by an army of Ahmanet's zombie. Then the place collapsed, causing them to fall into the water. Then some zombies pulled Jenny's legs to make her unconscious. Nick had to try to bring Jenny's body to the surface while avoiding the zombie attacks. When he got there, the zombies pulled Nick and was laid down. Not long after, Ahmanet appeared and wanted to stab his body with the dagger, but Nick tried to dodge an attack even though this attack looked futile.
But it's over.
Nick finally managed to take the gemstone from the hilt of Ahmanet's dagger.
Wait!
When Nick tried to destroy the gem, Ahmanet tried to stop him. She said that if Nick destroyed the gem, then his chance to become a god and revive Jenny would be in vain. Nick finally stabbed the dagger into his body. Not long after that, Nick regained consciousness and now he turned into the god of death. When approaching Ahmanet, he accidentally saw Jenny and remembered Jenny's words that in Nick there was still kindness. At that moment, Nick seemed to be two different people. In a conscious state, Nick finally used the power of this god of death to attack Ahmanet. He sucked Ahmanet until Ahmanet turned into a mummy again. After that, he approached Jenny and saw Jenny, who did not wake up. Nick screamed and suddenly Jenny came back to life. When Jenny woke up, she looked for Nick's whereabouts. However, Nick asked to stay away from him because Nick, who didn't know himself, could harm Jenny. Long story short, after this incident, Dr. Jekyll sealed the mummy of Ahmanet again with the mercury in the laboratory. The film closes by showing Nick, who revived Vale, and they return to explore the Middle East.
And we cannot